settlement with the Toronto Port Authority. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, but what spun off of here with the inspiration of Alan Sparrow and Roger Wilson is something we take great delight in seeing, that it's a stronger city. And, you know, we saw that in the 2006 election, and we'll see it again in next time with new faces.
Okay, Councillor, and if I could ask members of Council to please, these deputants are on one particular item. If we could focus our questions on that item. Councillor De Beermaker, then Councillor Moscow, and then Councillor Mahevik.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Councillor Del Grande was next. I ticked you off, Councillor, because you were next. I apologize. You're next. Go.
Thank you. I'd like to understand the debate. The focus is primarily on financial cash contributions that you are basically focusing your attention on. Do I have that right?
It's donations to politicians at election time.
Yeah. Okay.
And the laws govern that the politician who receives that donation makes sure that that's not related to another entity. You know, that say X subsidiary and Y, and so they're under the obligation to find that out. How they do it, I don't know. But then they have to report it afterwards. We pay the 50 cents for the piece of paper that the candidate submits. Well, now, and we scan it and add it up and do aggregate
it's
numbers.
Primarily financial. How then would you deal with the issue of whether it's a corporation, a president of a corporation or a president of a union, saying to their people, we support this particular individual, go out there and help them? How do you then, there's no financial paper trail. How do you deal with the influence of corporations and unions directing their members to support or defeat a particular candidate? How do you deal with that part of it?
The law, strange as it may seem, left it up to the citizen. The only body who can complain about a candidate's donation was a citizen, until this new omnibus law comes in that's going to fix that and make polling places accessible. The point is that you know, Councillor, who is belonging to a union. You know who's a lobbyist. Take Councillor Ray. He didn't take any corporate donations last time, but his list, it's the same base. It's the same base he's had for 15 years in my writing, as it turns out. And Adam Brown comes up there, number one. Adam Brown gave to him and you and you and I, and you know that if all the deputations you will see come up before you, Adam Brown will be in many of them. So you know, and now you know the voter will know. So what do you mean being underground? If the company president of the union local wants to break the law and you know, ordered them to do something, which
well, they never order. They would suggest
right.
members, which would be a different scenario.
Well, you know, the last mayoral election, somebody in one of the accounting firms said to me, you know how it works now? It just comes in up at the end of the partners meeting, and instead of having a corporate check go out, X, Y, and Z, and Z, and Z gives to X, Y, and Z. And because they know that you might feel alone if you didn't get this contribution. They want to feel sure. They shouldn't have to feel sure. They should be able to come and argue their issue on their own basis.
I'm happy to do it.
Okay. And I guess your assumption is that the whole city is homogeneous in terms of ability of citizens in various wards to contribute to a candidate in that particular ward?
You mean there might be
well, it goes. I'm thinking about the sort of like similar to the school board issue. People talk about fundraising, and there's a ruckus about, well, the richer neighborhoods, obviously, you know, that whole debate.
Yeah, you have that everywhere, and But, you know, what you want to do is you want to get the 20 and if you give $100, you get 75 back, so there's big incentive. And maybe some people say that that's too high of a threshold. But if somebody gives $40 or $25 to a candidate, good on them. And, you know, they should, because it's the only way that the candidate makes sure he's connected with the voter. You know, you meet hundreds of people in your going about. This is good in the sense that the corporations don't have to worry anymore, and all you have to do is connect with voters. Everybody has 30,000 voters in the riding, so it's not as if it's a huge fundraising challenge. All these little community groups have fundraising to do and survive with $2,000 or $3,000. But that's the way I looked at it. I saw 200 fundraising campaigns. And the ones that really excite you are the ones that go across the bases and say, oh, I'm amazed that that person and that person. But, you know, when somebody it's a whole list of developer contributions, how exciting is that? And how public is that representative? I'm not saying, you know, he isn't, but the point is, you just got to get off that need to feed that. It's an untenable position.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Councillor De Beermaker.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. I think the top of your chart got cut off there, but I think this is just corporate donations. Yeah. So would it be great? Would it be your submission to us that in a more democratic or more in an ideal world for you that 100% of contributions would come from individuals?
Yes, because only individuals vote.
And would you agree with me that in general, rich people donate and poor people do not?
Well, I think all people should be made to understand how important it is to participate in the democratic process. And yes, maybe that may be true, but you know, we only count donations over $100. So there is other donations. And really, you know, there's the other big chunk of donations is candidate donations themselves. There's about $1 million that candidates give to themselves in Toronto. So, so what's the point about poor and rich?
Well, if we change this, I guess what I would hope as a Democrat who wants more citizen participation, I think wouldn't we all want to encourage people to make lots of small donations. I'll give you a quick example. For me, in my ward, I figure that most people in my ward, I'm Scarborough Centre, could give me a $20 donation. If I ask my next door neighbors for more than $20, they back up.
That's because they know you.
So at $20 a donation, it would take me 2,000 individuals to raise what I would need for my campaign. If I can have more affluent friends and neighbors, and I ask for $400 a donation, it'd take me about 100 people to raise what I need. So you can see the power imbalance between somebody who can afford to donate $700 or $500 or $2,000 and my next door neighbors who really would have a hard time, and they do like me, to give me $25. Certainly $100. If I asked the neighbors on my street for a $100 donation, they'd be shocked. And they'd say, how am I going to pay my rent at the end of the month, Glenn? And if my wife wants to support you too, because she loves you too, that's $200 from her family, and my family can't afford to give you $200.
Councillor, can you get to a question?
Yep. So my question is...
This is a citizen here
Yeah.
who's just come forward because he happens to agree with something. So
Yes, and I agree with him, and I love him, and that's why I want to see how we can make this system actually better and make it work. So my question through you, Mr. Chair, is...
Don't you agree? I think that's...
What do you suggest is the best way we can make the average citizen more engaged in our process, not the people who can afford $200 or $500 donations or tickets? How do I get my next door neighbors involved in politics?
The $100 or the $200 ticket, you know, half of that is the chicken. And you have fundraising expenses that are 3 times the ward limit by some councillors. You know, the ordinary folk who whether it's the yellow bucket, as they used to call it when they were raising